Of course, the atmosphere in each tournament has been amazing, and it's been a different start this year than any other year I've ever had. So
Sports, Alex Eala makes history in the U.S. as the first Filipino tennis player to compete at the Indian Wells Open. TJ Manotok has that story.
By stepping onto the court at the Indian Wells Open, Alex Eala has broken new ground as the first tennis player from the Philippines to ever compete there. Just achieving that landmark is a huge reason to celebrate. That achievement by itself warrants applause from every corner of the sports universe. But it's the story behind the milestone that has created such an incredible buzz. The events that unfolded alongside this achievement have sent a tremor through the WTA, striking at the very center of the professional tennis world. The reason is when Eala showed up at the practice courts before play began, she was met with a sight that Indian Wells had never seen before. An immense crowd of Filipino supporters, numbering in the thousands, had already gathered, completely surrounding the courts with a density that would be considered extraordinary even for a Grand Slam championship match. The vibe wasn't merely noticeable, it was all-consuming. It was deafening. That reception alone made a powerful declaration about how much this athlete means to her fans in a way that goes far beyond the sport itself. The lines of fans were seemingly endless. They had journeyed from all over, fueled by a single wish to be near their hero and to see for themselves the player on everyone's lips. And to her immense credit, Eala didn't just vanish to focus on her training, leaving her supporters without so much as a glance. She personally went out to meet the fans, greeting them, signing for them, and delivering the very experience they had made such an effort to be a part of. The relationship between Eala and her fans isn't something artificial. It's not a carefully crafted media plan conceived in some corporate office. It's absolutely authentic, completely heartfelt, and it stands as a core reason that the movement growing around this player has become so enormous. And now the organizers at Indian Wells have confirmed information that makes this situation even more extraordinary. Long before the tournament even started, every single ticket for Alex Eala's matches was completely gone. Before a single ball was struck in competition before the opening match began, there wasn't a seat to be had. And after the official sellout, the online hunt for tickets remained massive, with countless fans still scrambling to find any conceivable way to get inside for her matches. The officials even made a public statement on the matter, and what they revealed is truly astounding. They openly declared that in the entire history of the WTA, they have never seen a fan reaction on this scale for any player. They clarified it wasn't just among the biggest fan reactions, it was the biggest. Just that declaration itself is worth pausing to consider because Indian Wells is a massive event on the tennis calendar. It stands as one of the most elite and heavily attended competitions in the entire world of professional tennis. And the organizers of that very tournament are confirming they have witnessed nothing that even compares to this. All right, let's bring in some other perspectives because there's much more to this story than just ticket revenue and practice court attendance. From current competitors to legends of the game and seasoned analysts, everyone is talking, and their takes are absolutely remarkable. Sam Querrey, who has been to a Grand Slam final and has a deep understanding of how fame and attention work in pro tennis, made a comment that was completely unequivocal. He declared, Alex Eala is the single biggest attraction on the WTA Tour today. Not one of the top draws, not in the discussion, she is the biggest draw. Period. He further explained that her ability to command attention and generate excitement has elevated her beyond anyone else on the tour in that incredibly vital area. So, is she truly the top attraction in women's tennis today? Without a doubt, is her star power greater than Sabalenka's? Does she pull a bigger crowd than Coco? Man, it is insane. The impact she's having is just like what we saw from Fanaika on the men's tour last year in Miami. It's similar to Fana, except I'd say it's even bigger than that, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the crowds for her in Doha last week were absolutely wild. But then Querrey took his commentary into a truly fascinating direction. He proposed that some of the top 10 players on the tour, athletes like Aryna Sabalenka, women who have poured their entire lives into clawing their way to the top, who have actually captured the sport's greatest championships, might be observing the buzz around Eala and having some complex feelings about it. That is an incredible assertion, and it hits home because it taps into an underlying reality. In the sport of tennis, performance is paramount. Rankings are important and trophies are important, but so is public fascination. And currently the player the world is most eager and excited to watch is without question Alex Eala. Yes, that's exactly right. She is absolutely a must-see player. Part of that is her undeniable skill, of course, But the environment is another huge draw. You feel compelled to watch her matches just to witness the spectacle for yourself. You have to think that some of the other women on the tour, the other players coming up, might feel a little bit of jealousy. She isn't ranked in the top 10 yet. She's the biggest star on the planet. Next, Jessica Pegula stepped up, and her comments added an entirely different level of insight to the situation. Pegula is known as one of the tour's most esteemed competitors. She's a veteran, she's a serious athlete, and she isn't known for making overly dramatic statements just for effect. So when she recounted her own experience of playing against Alex Eala during the Miami Open, what she said had real significance. She recalled stepping out for that match and being absolutely stunned by the reception that greeted her. This was something she never saw coming. Nothing could have braced her for the electric feeling that filled the arena before the first serve. The number of people was just staggering. She later admitted that the intensity, the raw emotion pouring from the stands with every rally was something she was completely unprepared for. Insane was the word she chose, meant as the ultimate compliment. This was not a complaint in the slightest. She was in awe, describing a moment she knew would go down in history while it was happening all around her. And then, over the following weeks, as she, has excelled and cemented her place as a formidable player on the tour, her supporters have turned out in droves. We certainly saw a preview of that in Australia when things got completely packed. She was scheduled on a court far too small for the crowd. We witnessed it again here. The sound carries all the way to the hotel. You can hear the roar from the crowd. Particularly at night. It is just phenomenal. And that experience at the Australian Open only validated what Pegula was talking about. The spectacle outside the stadium during Ayala's matches in Australia was beyond anything the tournament had experienced in a very long time. Huge throngs of fans gathered outside many without even holding tickets. Lines snaked around the venue filled with people clinging to the faint hope of somehow getting inside. That same intensity, that same loyalty, those same unbelievable numbers have all followed Eala here to Indian Wells. And the WTA is beginning to grasp that they might have underestimated the sheer magnitude of what has just arrived. Ana Ivanovic, the retired Grand Slam title holder, was part of an expert panel when she observed the crowd for Ayala's practice and then made a remark that truly stunned everyone there. Ivanovic suggested that Alex Eala has already eclipsed the kind of fame and recognition Sonia Mesa cultivated over a full career. She presented it with deep respect, clarifying it wasn't a slight to past achievements but a frank admission that the global attention and fan loyalty Eala is attracting is on a scale and at a speed the WTA has never encountered. For a retired champion of Ivanovic's status to declare that in a public forum is a truly major statement. That is a profound judgment from a person who has reached the zenith of this sport and knows precisely what she is observing. The global reach was certainly not to this degree. And I believe the potential that Alex Eala possesses is obviously so much greater. And I'm going to draw a little comparison to boxing now, since my dad hoped I'd be a boxer, but I went with tennis. But Manny Pacquiao is a great example. Manny Pacquiao. We watched him when, my goodness, he was at the absolute pinnacle of his sport. And next to Roger Federer, his prize earnings were actually higher. And then you consider Novak Djokovic, the most dominant tennis player in the sport's history. A person with more Grand Slam victories than anyone to have ever played. A person who has seen professional tennis from every angle imaginable for more than 20 years. Djokovic came forward and named Alex Eala the most outstanding tennis player the Philippines has ever given us. And he said with total conviction that she is worthy of every ounce of respect and acknowledgement this sport can offer. When the greatest to ever do it speaks, people pay attention. And the comments Djokovic made about Eala will surely resonate far outside the courts of Indian Wells. Alexa, that has been a topic of conversation, which is completely understandable. You get some players who emerge from their home countries like her coming from the Philippines, and it is a huge phenomenon. She's the most prominent, tennis player to ever come from that nation, which is a big country with a lot of passion for sports. The movement Alex Eala is creating at this moment is more significant than a tournament. It is more significant than a ranking. It is more significant than any single victory, regardless of how important those victories have already been. She is redefining the limits of what a Filipino athlete can achieve on the world stage, and she's doing it with masterful play on the court and a real warmth off of it. The fans who made the trip to Indian Wells, who waited in those lines, who swarmed the practice courts before she even played a single tournament match, they are not there by coincidence. They are present because something authentic is happening, something historic is taking shape, and the entire tennis community is captivated, watching every second with rapt attention. Indian Wells is prepared, the spectators are prepared, And if the past is any guide, Alex Eala is unquestionably prepared too. But before we move on, we need to hear from all of you. Can Eala conquer Indian Wells and win the title in her very first attempt? Is she already the top attraction in women's tennis as of right now, more popular than any other player on the circuit? And how does it make you feel to see an athlete from the Philippines command such admiration on one of the grandest platforms in professional sports? Post your thoughts in the comments below, as this is a topic that demands discussion. The era of Eala is dawning before our very eyes, and we need to know your perspective.